Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. I miss you so much. In today's video, we're gonna be tier ranking every single book I've read so far this year. So this is like a massive January to March wrap up. I think I've talked to you guys in small increments about these books, but we haven't gone in depth and talked about every single book I've read. So in this video, we're going to talk and we're going to tier rank. I'm going to take you through my 5 or 6 different categories, explain them all to you, and then we're going to match the book to the category and we're just gonna have fun. We're going to go top to bottom. The first tier I have is Put This in My Bloodstream. These are just my top tier 6-star books that I just want to live in my body. I cannot get over. I have not stopped thinking about since I read them, and just like my 5-star 6-star reads of this year so far. Next we have I Was in Love. This is kind of just for books that I really was in love at the time and I just had the most fun. It didn't even exceed 5 stars, but it was like right there and I was just really in love, but it didn't hit that mark to be like a 5-star I want to live in this book kind of read. Then we have I'd Recommend. These are just books that I would recommend to other people. I enjoyed them. I thought they were good. I didn't have any like major flaws with them, and I would say, hey, pick this up and I trust that you'll have like a good time. Then we have Good But I Could Live Without It. These are just okay books, more like 3-star reads. If I hadn't read them, I wouldn't feel upset or feel like I was missing out on anything, and I could live. Like, I'll live without this book. Then we have Forgot I Read This. These are just for books that genuinely forgot I read, slipped my mind, was not important, was not memorable, wasn't that good, obviously, and I just like am just now in remembering that I even touched the book. Then we have Don't Bring This Up in Front of Me. These are for books that have rage baited me, books that have genuinely gotten on my nerves to the point where I just like to pretend I haven't even seen them, I haven't read them, I don't even know what you're talking about, so don't talk about it in front of me. Then lastly we have Why Did I Do This to Myself. These are just the books that I regret. Every single book I genuinely regret from the bottom of my heart, and I wish that I had never even touched to begin with. So I'm very excited. I didn't read nearly enough books. Like, I feel like I wanted to have just come into this year and binged, and I think I've done good for where we are. Like, we're only halfway through March, so it's not like I missed my whole opportunity. I read no books this year, but I haven't read as many as I liked, but I did have some really, really great reads. So I'm hoping to just aim to have every single book at a yellow to a red. These are out of order of when I read them, but I'm just gonna go bottom to top, I think. First, I read People Watching. I actually didn't finish this book. Okay, this book is by the same person who made Out on a Limb. Oh, Hannah Bonham Young. I really love her writing style. I've read Out on a Limb, Next of Kin, really loved her books, picked up this book because it had the cutest cover she's ever produced, and I was so excited to read it. And I remember I opened the book and I hated it. I hated the man. The girl character, like, she was alright, but like she was just wordy. Everything she was saying was just so much words to read. The way it was written was so hard to follow, and I just like, it rage baited me because I wanted to love it and I wanted to get into it and I wanted to have fun. But I just ended up hating the male main character. Really didn't like it. It was about like adults that were childish and like covered as dysfunctional. So I just was not having a fun time. Honestly, it's a mix between Forgot I Read This and Don't Bring This Up in Front of Me, because I honestly really just get like irritated thinking about this book. I don't know what happened. I don't know why I could not stand it. I remember spending like some of my last money I had at the time on the book, and I was just upset. Actually, let me stop talking. Don't bring this up in front of me, please. Then I have The Will of the Many by James Isington. I actually read this a little bit more recently. This is like a 600-page fantasy book. Now, my problem with this book isn't really anything other than the fact that, guys, it's so long and it didn't have the fantasy qualities that I like to see in a fantasy book. Like, I like to see some kind of element of romance, some kind of element of found family. When I read this book, it kind of felt very like sterile, and it felt like I was learning for a lot of it, and I was pushing myself through it because I was doing like a reading vlog. But at the end of the day, I just was like, oh my god, let's get going. And about halfway through, like, I did get very invested with our main male character Vis, and I really did like the ending, and I was very hooked and I wanted to know what would happen next, but I wasn't willing to go through the other like 200, 300, 600 pages again just to get more of the story. So that was like kind of like my thing. Like, I obviously enjoyed the fantasy high of figuring stuff out, getting through it, but like the middle to the beginning was just a very hard read for me, and I just couldn't get behind it. So I think I would say Good But I Could Live Without It. Like, honestly, I had a lot of fun and the ending was worth it, but otherwise, it didn't help that I was forcing myself through the book, and that's not like a sign of just enjoying what I'm reading. It's just a sign of just trying to get through it. So I do think I could live without reading it. Then I have Fake Skating by Lynn Painter. This is another one of her high school romances. It's a hockey fake dating romance, and I had a lot of fun reading it. Honestly, this was one of my first 5 stars of the year, and I would say I was in love because I don't remember this book enough to think, wow, I just want to live in this book. I want this in my blood. But I can say I had a lot of fun reading it, and I have such fond memories, and it was one of the best Lynn Painter books. Like, I know everybody loves Better Than the Movies, and Better Than the Movies is such a good book. I will not argue with you, but Fake Skating is better. Like, Fake Skating is her best high school romance she's ever written, and if you know any Lynn Painter books, you know how crazy that is to say, because Lynn Painter, she built this, like, her high school romances are so peak, just so loved, that this being her best one, I just 100% would confidently say that. I loved our main characters, I loved their romance, and I also had one of my friends read it, and she loved it immediately, and I felt so proud because I was like, this is one of my 5 stars for a reason. It's a very good book. I would honestly tell everybody read it. It was so amazing. I was so in love with them. I'm still in love with them, and it was just chef's kiss. Then we have No Matter What by Cara Stone. Cara Stone is the author of Promise Me Sunshine and Ready or Not. I love those books. I love this author. She's one of my newer favorite authors, and I've had a lot of fun with her books. So when I saw this was a new release that was coming out, I was very excited to pick it up. A second chance trope in a marriage, and we're following 2 characters that have kind of like fallen into this funk in their marriage after this accident that happened to them. The male main character says that he's going to move out in 8 weeks, and she kind of stumbles into this like figure drawing class, and it's a really beautiful sensual story that's kind of like unexpected. I've never really read about anything when it comes to like figure drawing or art, and like the way that Cara Stone took the story was so interesting and so entertaining, and I loved it. I loved this book. Like, I still think about this book and think about if I should just bump it up to a 5 star. I think I gave it like 4.75 stars because it just didn't hit that feeling for me. But the more I think on it, the more I think maybe this should be a 5 star. I don't know how to explain the love I have for such a story that feels so intimate, and like I had gotten, like, she had let us in on this very intimate part of this couple, and we were seeing their worst parts and them dealing with trauma, dealing with love, dealing with everything that was happening in their life, and they were such enjoyable characters. The female main character was such a nice perspective, and I just really loved this book. Like, I adored this book. Then we have 3 of them lined up. We have the Rebel Ranch series by Lila Sage. This is like a small town cowboy ranch series. It has a lot of different tropes, but that's kind of like the core tropes across each book. I started with Done and Dusted, which is the first book, years ago. This year I have finished the series. I had very different thoughts for each book. The first book we have is Wild and Wrangled. This is the last book, I'm pretty sure, in the series. This is following Cam and Dusty. They're like a second chance childhood friends to lovers to strangers to lovers again. And honestly, I say this so often, and I've been proven wrong so much over the last couple of weeks, but I am not a second chance romance person. It is not my favorite trope. I really like their book. I liked getting to see them just grow up together. Lila Sage has a very good way of just having banter. She has great banter across all her characters, and this banter just is like spanning across all the books. It's so entertaining, it's so funny to read, and it just makes her books so much easier to get through. Plus, they're only 300 pages, so they're fast-paced, funny books that are just great romances jam-packed into them. This book just was one of the best ones. Cam is so like strict, and she feels so like wound tight, and she's a mom, and Dusty has just always loved her and adored her, and it's just like clear that it would always have been them, and I really do like that trope. Like, it would have always been them. So getting into this book and seeing from their perspectives, because it's dual POV, and seeing Dusty yearn for her and seeing her yearn for him, and them like not knowing and then them coming together, it was just really sweet. And they had some of the cutest scenes, and I really enjoyed it. It's between I Was in Love and I'd Recommend. I would recommend the book. Obviously, I would recommend every single book that I was in love with, but I don't know if I felt super strongly about it. I think I would recommend, because I did really enjoy my time reading it, but I don't think back on it like I was obsessed with these characters. They were my favorite. I just had a very good time reading them, and they might have been my top to second best books in that series. I might change that. Then we have Switched and Saddled. This is the second book. This book was following Ada and Weston. This is the book I read the most recently in one of my videos. I had some varying thoughts with this book because on one end, I really love Lila Sage's writing style. I really love all her books. I had a lot of fun reading her entire series, but I also just came in with expectations to be as happy reading it as I was all the other ones. And I felt like it had like the second book, second movie sequel phenomenon where it just wasn't as good as all the other ones. I just didn't love it. I thought it was okay. I gave it 3.5 stars only because it was a Lila Sage book and I wanted to push it to a 4-star because I just loved the series. But when I think about just these characters, I couldn't get behind the way they spoke to each other, which is interesting because I loved and praised her banter so much. So this one book, I just could not, the banter, the cringe level of the banter, I couldn't get over it. I think I could live without reading this book. I love this series and I wouldn't trade up having experienced the full thing, but I wouldn't really recommend it. Like, I don't think it was a great read and I didn't really enjoy my time. Like, some way through it, because it only had 300 pages, so halfway at about like 100 and something pages, I was just like, I don't really want to be reading this anymore. And I was pushing myself through such a short book anyways. And that was just not a great sign to me. Like, I think I could have lived without it. Then we have Lost in Lasso. This is, I think, like the third book in the series. This one was following Teddy and Gus. They're like hated each other forever until they finally start to like each other. This is also a top contender for one of my favorite books in the series. I really like this book, like being in her perspective, especially Teddy, because she's just like the funny friend and she's super like vulgar and out there and outspoken, and she's going through this thing where she feels like she's behind in her life. And of course she's all these things and she's like so ambitious, but now she's lost her job and she's never been in love, and like all these people are moving ahead of her. And Gus is a single dad. He's actually the dad to Cam in the last book's daughter, but they have like a very like healthy relationship. And Gus has always like, I guess, not like Teddy, but they slowly open up to each other. I also really like this book. I wasn't say like I was obsessed, like of love, adored it, but I just really enjoyed it. I would say I recommend it. If I had like a I recommend, but like one of my go-to recommendations, I think that was where I would put these two books. Then we have Alchemized. I did not finish this book. I tried to read it for a very long time, which is another problem I had with The Will of Many. I tried to read that book for so long. Alchemized, I tried to read for maybe 3 weeks and I got like 250 pages in, and then it was just super disturbing that like I couldn't finish it. I was not a fan. So I think it's not like I don't want to hear about the book. I did forget I even picked it up. But also like why, I think I would put it in a why did I do this to myself, because it was so long. It's like 1,000 pages. I didn't really care for what was happening. It was deeply disturbing and I was just like kind of scared the whole time. So I would say let me not torture myself again. Then we have To Catch a Wild Bird. This is a book I actually like started a couple days ago. Did I finish it? No. Did I DNF it? I guess I just put it down. From what I knew about it, it was supposed to be like a fantasy book about this girl who's like a prison bounty hunter person, and her brother gets arrested into this prison, which is like this massive prison, and she sneaks in to go break him out, and there's like a romance plot with one of the prison guards. I really enjoyed that. I was like, okay, like this is kind of cool. I didn't really have many problems with it. It was cool. Yeah, like I didn't have too many expectations for it. I still don't. Like, I mean, I would say, I guess I read this because like not many thoughts here. I have no intention of picking it back up. Then we have In Her Own League by Liz Tomford. This is a spin-off of the Windy City series. If you know the Windy City series, it is a sports romance series that is very popular. It is so good. It's all worth the hype. It's like 5 books. This book is following the coach of the baseball team in the last two, no, not the last two, Play Along and Caught Up. Those 2 books, that coach, and then the new female owner of the team. It's supposed to be like a spin-off series. Reese is trying to figure out her place in her role, I guess. Like, it's very job oriented for her. And Emmett is just trying to like live in her orbit, open up to love. He's never been with someone since his girlfriend passed away, like maybe like 20ish years ago. So they're like coming together and it's very cute. I really like the characters, but I have very high expectations for Liz Tomford books, and I just think that this book fell short, which I hate to say. I just didn't like it that much. Like, I think something about it wasn't working for me, and I rated it 3.5 stars, not because it was like horrible, and I did have some moments where I was like, this is so cute, I really love these characters, but when it came down to it, like the writing style just didn't have like that Liz Tomford buzz, and I wanted to love it. And I think if I hadn't had such high expectations to think it would be like another Windy City series book, then maybe I would have just come into it with more like a, but with this, I don't know, like I just know how good those books can be, and this book just wasn't that, and I was so sad about it. I would say it was good, but I could live without it. Like at the end, I just felt super unsatisfied, and I had fun while I was reading it, but like if I hadn't picked it up, I wouldn't have felt a loss. Then we have The Favorites by Lane Fargo. This book is tension, it's drama, it's egos, it's personality clashing, it's love, it's toxicity. It's amazing. It's honestly like modern day Taylor Jenkins Reid, but better. Well, actually, I take that back because Taylor Jenkins Reid is still very popular and it's kind of different. It made me think of the tension in a Taylor Jenkins Reid book. I really loved it. It's about two ice skaters and they have just been in love since they were kids, like their childhood friends, lovers. There's also a story of just like toxicity and how they became so popular and how they become world famous and all the stuff that happens behind the scenes. And it's like a documentary is airing about their lives and we're just finding out along with this. And there's like little interview snippets of their perspectives, I guess, on like what happened and everything that went down in these years of them just like building their career. It was good. Like it was like almost 5 stars. Like I would say I was in love. This book was so addicting to read for me. Like I don't know what it was. I don't really know why. I just was so hooked, but it draws you in and it keeps you there. And I was flying through. Like it was so painful to put down and so much is going on, and like every chapter I was saying ended in a betrayal. Like at the end of every chapter something had happened that kept making you want to go to the next chapter, and it just was like that through the entire book. It wasn't a necessarily short book, but it felt short because it was so fast and you were so hooked and it was so drama filled, and I would recommend it to everyone. I was like hanging by the seat. Like this is a 5-star maybe, and at the end of the day, like after kind of calming down, I was like, okay, I don't think this is 5 stars, but it's just there. It was amazing. It was beautifully written. A lot of great annotations, but also just a lot of great banter, everything. Just great everything. Then we have The Wedding People. This 5-star book was so unexpected. It's like so unassuming. It's about Phoebe. She checks into this hotel. All we know is that she has a plan and she checks into this hotel. She's freshly divorced. She meets this like party of people who are the wedding people, and they have like an impact on her, and we just see what happens in this story. It's not like too crazy of a synopsis. Going into the book, it is so much more than it's advertised as. And I have had this book on my radar for so long, to the point where like not knowing what I was missing, just having it on my shelves for so long, like it's so crazy for me to think about, because this book touched my soul in a way where like I need it in my ear. I think about this book all the time. She was one of the best characters I have ever related to. Everything about her resonated with me. It was such a beautiful story. It was such a tender story, just about a woman finding herself again and like choosing to live. And I did not know what I was walking into, but at the end of the book, I was just so sad. And I was like, how could this be over? How could this be done? Why is this done? I love this book. I love it, and I still love it, and I still think about it every single day. There's just some quotes from there, man. There's some quotes. It's the story. It's the feeling I had reading the book that just like lives forever rent-free in my mind. Like I was just like elated to be reading it, and honestly, like I cannot imagine not reading it. Then we have The Second Death of Locke. This is a fantasy book I read because I just like heard that it was like such a great romantasy. So many people were rating it 5 stars. I walked into it thinking this would be a 5-star. Honestly, it was pretty freaking close. It was a 4.575 star. I loved these characters, like Kier and Gray. They're best friends in a very codependent way, and they're like halfway in love with each other. So I like that because it was very yearning. They're just like living on top of each other, and they're just very in tune with each other. And it was so interesting to see that kind of dynamic, especially in a fantasy book, because I feel like fantasy books don't offer so many complex romances. Like I don't know, it was just kind of crazy. So walking into the book, I just loved their relationship, and then the story that was happening, because Locke is like an island that had vanished, and it's their power source, and we're living in a world where there's mages and there's wells. I can't remember if Kier was the girl or the boy, but our female main character is the power source for our male main character, and they've just like always been a team, and we're just seeing them and them trying to avenge this one island, and we're following along and finding a lot of secrets along the way. I had a lot of fun. I wouldn't say I was in love, but I would recommend it. I remember reading it. Also, I walked in with too many high expectations, and I was just like, this is so good. I really love this. Blah, blah, blah. I see why people write this 5 stars. I see why people write this 5 stars. But I was kind of thinking of it like objectively. Like, I understand why you would rate this 5 stars, but I'm not going to rate it 5 stars because I don't have that kind of feelings for it. But I do understand like it's such a well-written fantasy book, and that's like what I was really thinking walking out of it. That was so well-written, and that was so enjoyable, and I loved it, and I would recommend it to anybody who wants to read like a romantasy kind of book. I just have like a good time. Like I do think it was high stakes in a sense, but it wasn't too stressful plot wise, and it's just a fun book. Like it's really fun. Then we have First Time Caller. there's a lot of people who really love this book. So I think going into it, like, that's what I was thinking, like, oh, I love this book. And it's supposed to be like a radio station, and her daughter calls into the radio station and sets her up on like a date, and that's how they meet, and that's how everything goes down. Reading it was fun. It was like, some parts of it, thinking about it now, reminds me of 27 Dresses. But other than that, I just came out of it like, I don't really want to read this. Like, I don't really like this. Like, it wasn't great. I didn't like our main character for the last maybe 45% of the book. He just was not giving it to me. He was very immature, and he just could not get it together, and I just could not get behind it. I think what I said was good. It was okay. I don't know. It was so long too, like I had forced myself to read it. I think I'm gonna say it was good, but I could live without it. Because it was okay. Was it? Don't bring this up in front of me. Why did I do this to myself? I do have why did I do this to myself feelings. It was okay, but I just, you know what, yeah. I pushed myself through that book. It's like 450-ish pages, and I pushed myself through it hoping that I would like enjoy it, and like I enjoyed it in a sense, but I wouldn't read it again. I wouldn't recommend anybody else read it. I didn't really enjoy it, and like thinking about it, I just was like, no, like I wish I didn't read that book. Like I wish I didn't force myself to read like that 450 pages, because it wasn't worth it, and I just didn't enjoy my time. So yeah, I don't know why I did that to myself. I don't know why I pushed it. Then we have If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. That is my first 5-star of 2025, and the book that I started reading after my like book slumps, like finally got me back into reading. I loved this book. I wasn't in love reading this book, but I loved it to the point where like I would recommend it to everybody. It's like my top stars. It's like a 90s rom-com nostalgia kind of book. Single dad, in owner, estranged daughter, I guess, and they meet, and Cliff and Shelley are just very cute. Very cute. And just seeing adults work out, like they had good communication skills. She had a good relationship with her kids. They had really cute moments. It made me feel like I was watching Gilmore Girls. It was super fall, even though I read it like in the mid of the winter. And I have only fond memories reading that book, and I would reread it again. I think it was just worth it. Like I'm very happy I picked it up, and I still find myself thinking, well, I could have just passed by that on my shelves and never read it, because I think this was worth it, and I think everybody should read that book. Then we have Fragile Sanctuary. I hate this book. No shade. I picked it up, and honestly, sometimes I try to forget I read it. I picked it up, and I was like, after If It Makes You Happy, and I was just like trying to get through books and whatever, and I had bought it. So I was reading it, and like at some point into it, I had just like come to the terms with the fact that I was gonna hate it. It's like a mystery romance kind of thing, and I just am not that much of a fan of mystery. I'm not that much of a fan of anything when it comes to mystery romance mixing. So reading this book, there's a fire at her house, and she comes to rebuild it, and she like falls in love with one of the construction workers who's her brother's best friend, but the fire is like tied to a bunch of people, and it just like it gave me anxiety. I didn't like the way it was written. I didn't really like that like element of the fire and trying to figure out like the murder of her family, because at that point I don't really like that theme, and I was so stuck in it. Like that's the whole point of the book. So I just don't really like thinking about that book, and I think I gave it like 3-ish stars. I would bump that down to like a 2. Never again. And I try not to remember it, and like I get very irritated just thinking about the book. I just didn't like that book. Okay, so everything I just said, take it and literally double it, because this is the worst book I've read this year, hands down. Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. Here's my thing. I should have read Divine Rivals before I read this, so I didn't have like a new notion of her, because ever since Divine Rivals came out, people have talked about it like it's one of the best fantasy series, which I'm sure it's a really great fantasy series, but this is the first book I've read by her, and I did not like it at all. It's like, I don't even know the plot. Like, it's supposed to be some kind of, I don't know. Like, at some point, I wasn't sure what she was in the magic system. It was like Greek gods. It was giving mermaids. And it was just like a bunch of random plot points were happening. And none of it made sense. And none of it went together. And I was not happy with the ending. And I hated it. I would say, don't bring this up in front of me. Or why did I do this to myself? I genuinely should have just made a, I hate this book. Don't bring this up in front of me. Like, I hate that book. Don't ever talk about it in front of me. I hate, like, I want to, like, erase it from my brain. Then we have An Academic Affair by Jodie McAllister. I actually just read this book, and I'd recommend big time. I'd recommend immediately. It is the cutest, bookish, rom-com-y marriage of convenience trope, which I have never really had that kind of mix. I've read some bookish books, but none of them have ever been marriage over convenience, and both of them are academics, and both of them are into literature, and they've been fighting since they were like children. It wasn't toxic. It wasn't hard to get through, and like there's no third act breakup. It's just so much fun. It's on Kindle Unlimited. It's so like cute, and it made me smile like an idiot, and I loved it so much, and I think I rated it well. Like it was like a 4.25 stars or something. Then we have Lizzie Blake's Best Mistake. I low-key kind of forgot that I read this book. If I told you how I felt right in the moment, I would say I really loved it. Now, like a couple weeks later, I don't really think too much on it. It was great. Like it was really great, and I would 100% recommend it, but I don't think too much about it to the point where like I was like, this is amazing. It is a accidental pregnancy trope, but it's a good accidental pregnancy trope. I love accidental pregnancy tropes. So reading it, it was like very well done, and he's Australian, and Lizzie has ADHD, and that like comes out, and it's a very like cute and funny while also battling some like heavy topics. Actually, I was in love when I read it. So maybe like I'd recommend in between, I'd recommend and I was in love, like both, because I was in love when I read it and I would recommend it. Right now, I don't know how I feel, because like now that I'm thinking back on it, when I was reading it, I was like, oh, this is good. I think I'm gonna leave it and I'd recommend, which I would. Then we have A Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. This is like a literary fiction book. It's supposed to be about like two writers, and they both are competing for this one spot. Obviously some secrets come out, and interesting stuff happens, because like their spot they're competing for is from this like old woman who used to be like pop star famous, and she finally wants to tell her story, and she's like 90 years old. I didn't like it. Like the mystery element I guess was cool. I did like the romance, but I wouldn't say, hey guys, read this is really good. I would say I forgot I read this. Like I did forget I read it. I don't really think much on the book. I didn't really enjoy my time reading it. I did like the romance, but like that was not a big enough point of the book, and a lot of it was a lot of history on the girl that they were trying to like interview, and I was like, okay, so this is not really a romance book. This is like a literary fiction about this one girl. That was the least interesting character in my eyes, so that was like I don't know. Then lastly, but certainly not least, we have Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors. Let me tell you, this one I need in my bloodstream. When I listen to Dolly Parton, I cannot not think of this song. This book was so amazing. It was so amazing. The quotes, the writing style, everything about it, 100% recommend it to every single person. Double it, to give it to the next person, give it to the next person, give it to the next person. I loved it. Like I genuinely loved this book. It was so amazing. I would say everybody please read it. It is so worth your time. And that is all of my books that I've read so far this year. Wow, I feel like I've had some good books this year. Like I have some great reads that I've read just in the last 3 months, and I'm very appreciative, because I know how bad it can be to just be in a slump and feel like you hate everything you're reading, and I've just been on a generational run. Wow, my cheeks hurt from smiling. Thank you guys for watching this video. I thank you so much for sticking with me. I hope you had some fun. Please comment if you like this idea, or if you have any other wrap-up ideas that I can do. Thank you for watching. I love you, but God loves you more, and I appreciate you, but God appreciates you so much more, and I'll see you in the next one.